Welcome to the Great Girlfriends Podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. We're your hosts. I'm Sybil Amuti.
And I'm Brandis Daniel.
And our third great girlfriend tonight.
Hey, I'm Jennifer Purnell.
Jennifer Purnell! Say it, Brandis. Welcome. Welcome, Jennifer. Welcome.
Thank you. I feel like one of the girlfriends already. Come on.
Yes, you are, sister. Yes, you are.
I love it.
Thank you for making time for us today.
It's my pleasure. It's fun to hang out with you guys.
Yeah.
Anytime.
How's the weather in Memphis?
What you said? Weather in Memphis?
Yeah.
Or, we had the snowstorm, the Armageddon. People are like, pray for Memphis. We had half an inch. Like, it melted before it even came down. They let schools out. I'm sure you guys are over there laughing at us. They let schools out before the snow even started. But I mean, today it was gorgeous outside. You didn't even need a coat.
Oh wow.
That's awesome.
Sorry for you guys, because you guys have so much snow I've seen.
Girl,
yes.
We had, 2 feet of snow?
Yeah, about 2 feet.
About 2 feet of snow. Did you go out at all?
No, I didn't go out. I haven't been out. Well, you know what? I did get out. Me and Rich went out yesterday.
Oh, good. What y'all do?
We went to our old apartment to go and clean it out. The rest of the things that we have. Nothing too fun.
Did you just move? How recently did you move?
Yeah, so my water broke while we were in the middle of a move. And that was 3 months ago. And so my husband's parents own the building that we were living in. And so we have never fully moved everything out, because once the baby got home, it was just,
It wasn't like you were busy or anything, right? Yeah.
Right.
Real grown stuff started happening when Scott
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I got out in the snow.
She did. Sybil has like these epic photographs of her and the children. Oh my God. Out in the snow. They look like postcards.
Oh my God. So my husband
I saw some of them. They looked amazing. I was like, how do you do that so perfectly? Yeah.
My husband has the most complex camera known to mankind that apparently only he knows how to operate. But it takes these fantastic pictures. So we got out in the snow, me and the kids and I would say the kids were out first. And I was like, I'm not doing that, because I thought it was going to be freezing and windy. And I got outside. The weather was perfect. The snow was amazing. The sun was shining. And I just got lost in it, girl. When I say free falling in the snow, diving into the snow, we were rolling in it like we had no good home training. Me and the kids. And the kids were looking like, wait, we can actually do this? I'm like, yeah, do it now while I'm out here, because while I'm rolling with you, it's permissible.
When I go in, it's going to be a different story.
It's over.
Yeah.
Because once we got in the house, I was like, everybody strip on this little bitty circular rug right here. Right here. Don't nobody get off this rug. All wet stuff, straight to the showers. I mean, I went in straight military mode, but we had a blast. I loved it.
So much fun.
Prove you're Southern. Have you guys ever made snow ice cream before?
You know what?
I have never made snow ice cream.
I made it one time. I didn't eat it, but I made it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, what's the for?
Because I'm not down with like eating precipitation and all. Like that's not my thing. But
so who ate it?
Nobody. But we made it just to see like what would happen. But Sunday Sam ate snow. I looked up, he had snow all on his face, looking like Papa Smurf, just like snow. He was eating it. I'm like, and the Kwaku was telling him, I bet a deer probably urinated in that snow you eating. So enjoy it. So anyway, girlfriends, we thought it would be fantastic to bring on Jennifer Purnell. She is a mompreneur, a wifepreneur, all things entrepreneur, and she's the owner of an amazing nail salon in Memphis, Tennessee called September Nail Salon, and the website is www.septembernailsalon.com.
Yes.
And Jennifer was gracious enough to host us for our first live event, Cupcakes and Combo, in
Yes,
Memphis.
which was so much fun.
Amazing. It was
Yes.
amazing. I walked away so impressed and so telling everybody they needed to be a great girlfriend. You guys,
Aw.
seriously.
Thank you so much. Well, I mean, I'm saying when I say your venue, your salon is so
It's
cute,
so
and chic
beautiful.
and
Oh,
fab,
you.
and your
Thank
staff, your team was just like so warm and engaging and welcoming. It was fantastic.
Top
Oh,
notch. Totally
Thank
top
you.
notch.
Yes,
thank you.
it
Thank
was great.
I mean,
So
so much.
what you girlfriends don't know is I've known Jennifer for a while through my godbrother's wife, who's my god sister. I mean, I call her my god sister Chic, and Jennifer's husband and I went to junior high and high school together, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jennifer.
Well, funny thing, you probably don't even know. Tim and I, your godbrother and I were actually friends before Sheik and I were friends.
Really?
Yeah, like, that's actually where it goes. And as far as I'm concerned, he married her so I could have a new best friend.
Oh, that's what happened.
That's exactly how it happened. Sometimes I call him and he's like, "I know you just want to talk to your sister. Let me give her the phone." Like, you used to call me like this. Like, why?
Yeah, no, yeah, no, no.
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
Oh,
he's
that's
okay.
cool.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah,
We grew up together. So yeah.
Oh, I
I
didn't know
know.
that.
Mhm.
See, so it was destiny.
It was. That's how I feel. That's how I feel about one of my husband's best friend. I've kind of taken her on.
Exactly.
But
It's like
you
at
know
the end of the day, it's like, thank you for marrying my friend. So
That's part of the wedding gift.
yeah, exactly.
Brandis actually grew up in the same area as you guys, so there's probably some more collaborative names and, back and forth that you guys probably know each other. But we're all Memphis girls, and we love on the Great Girlfriends to promote our 901 All-Stars because I just feel like it's really cool to celebrate home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like everybody who's from Memphis is like that.
Yes.
Like, and we have some heavy hitters from Memphis. I
We
just
really
found
do.
out that the woman who created Black Girls Code is from Memphis.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just saying, I don't know you yet, but we're going to get to know who she
we
is.
want her on the show. Her story was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
so yes, for anybody who thought that we moved to New York and forgot about Memphis, psych on your life. That is not the case.
I mean, even Justin Timberlake is
I was
calling
about
out
to
Memphis.
say,
That's right.
y'all and Justin will give a shout out in a minute. You know, it's
That's
like,
right.
yeah.
Don't forget the hometown.
Come
So,
on.
Jennifer, what I love is Jennifer and I had never done a real deep dive until she volunteered to do our sponsorship for Cupcakes and Combo, and we got on the phone, and what was supposed to be 20 minutes turned to like an hour and a half, and it was like, girl, because we had so much in common in terms of. First of all, we're both moms of 2 kids at the same age, really, the 7s and the 4s, and your youngest son is how old?
He'll be 4 in March, and my
Okay.
oldest will be 8 in March. I still remember that day we went to the zoo together, and our kids were like looking at each other like, "Yes, you're my height. Let's play." You know?
Equals,
Oh, so sweet.
Yeah, and so what I loved, Jennifer, was after I learned your story and knowing all of your history and how you and Cyrus have built this amazing marriage and built a family of faith. And you've been taking cliff jumps left and right, and now you're helping other people with their cliff jumps, in their career. So I thought it would be great. And Brandon and I both felt like you have a really great story
Absolutely.
that you can share with our budding entrepreneurs and even existing entrepreneurs who are trying to understand how to endure this space of entrepreneurship.
And you said endure, and I actually think that's a pretty accurate term. And so it started. I was in the corporate arena for 10 plus years. Actually, it would have been 15 years this past year. And very honestly, it was over 10 years ago. I was sitting in a pedicure chair one day, getting a pedicure, and I looked around and thought, I could do this. And honestly, it was a pretty simple and naive thought. It was the most naive thought. It was stupid, honestly. I looked around and I thought, a few files, some polish, ta-da, nail salon, And what I didn't realize then, and which I learned over time and just kind of doing more research, doing market research, was a lot of the things that I had personally seen in a nail salon, whether it's reusing files, reusing buffers, petty scrubbers, all those things, it just shouldn't be that. It should actually be a matter of one use for everybody, and that everyone should be well trained. Like all the team members should be well trained. So if there are certain conditions, like if someone is diabetic, their pedicure should look different from someone else's.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Because if the thing about diabetics, if they are cut mistakenly, they have a tendency to bleed more so than someone else. Mm-hmm. Also, they don't feel as much. They don't have as much feeling in their limbs as as we typically do, and they can walk around not realizing they've been cut, and next thing you know, they're in the doctor's office trying to figure out what's going on because they've lost feeling, and it's because of something they may have picked up. But
wow.
Anything like that, we see like a large number of folks with other conditions and things like that may have picked up when getting your nails done. And if you're reusing everything, it's just passing it along from person to person. Mm-hmm. And again, that just shouldn't be. Anyway, all that said, then same thing with the team members. I realized that folks in that arena, they weren't used to seeing climbing the corporate ladder. I was used to having a progression from one position to another. But what happens if you've been doing nails for a number of years, and at some point you don't want to be behind the chair any longer? What happens next? Have you been trained in any other areas? And then the last one was just atmosphere, where you could sit and enjoy a nice glass of wine while you got a pedicure, nice artwork on the walls, just all those things that kind of play a part of what I was looking for in a nail salon. Again, I was kind of a corporate girl. If you're particular about where you eat and where you shop, why should this be any different? Mm-hmm. So that kind of started the design of who we are now. Again, at first it was a real simplistic thought. So I just thought, man, let's go get some nail salons and right. do it.
And let me tell you, Jennifer, most people, I mean, I know personally, I don't know many people that would even consider that deep conceptually when I'm going to get like my nails done.
Right.
I wouldn't even know what questions to ask. Like, okay, so just so we're clear up front, do you use these materials more than once?
It's true.
Yeah.
And they don't they don't ask you if you're diabetic. They don't ask you any, health conditions before you get your nails and toes done. So like I didn't understand the amount of hazards that are tied to it until I heard it from your perspective.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I didn't either. 10 plus years ago, and then the more I started doing the research and really gaining some knowledge about it, and so that's part of what we've been doing too, is going out educating folks, because we see so many people who are brand new to us who walk in the door with conditions. And so we have to kind of take a step back and say, okay, well, you really need to visit your doctor. Or folks, we have a lot of clients who are in the medical field, and we feel that it's because of that reason. They recognize the fact that we are using some of the same things they're using in a hospital, in a dentist's office. And so they come to us because they trust us, and they know that we're not going to reuse something, and that they won't end up with a fungal infection that may cost 25 times more to resolve than their quick little mani-pedi.
Jennifer, let me ask you this. So can you take us back? You had the thought. You were sitting in a chair. Yeah. And at the time, where were you working? You don't have to tell us the company, but what was your position and what type of company was it?
Let's see, 10 plus years ago, I don't remember exactly what my role was. I really, when I started with the company, I actually, back in the day, I used to do theater. So I went from auditioning and getting ready to go get my master's in theater to saying, okay, I guess I'm going to be at home for a while. That kind of came about because it was really a couple of God moments that happened, and I realized this isn't what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life, but I didn't have the epiphany there of what I was supposed to do. So I figured while I was waiting to hear from God on what I was supposed to do, I'll just go about life and see what happens. I applied for an entry-level position at a corporate healthcare place locally, and I got the job. Well, I got the job, and I ended up doing pretty well. After a year, I moved to a different role there. After another year, moved to a different role. A couple of years later, moved to a different role. So I definitely progressed within the company, and when I left, I was in a position that I was pretty proud of, and I had to make a decision at that point,
Right.
from a lifestyle that I was really, really comfortable with, that I was doing well in, to say, okay, I'm going to take this jump from corporate life, doing well, and become an entrepreneur and let's just see what happens,
Right. So once you had the idea, kind of walk us through the steps that it took to actually execute that idea. So you were in a chair, you were working a really nice, comfortable corporate job, I'm sure with a nice salary. And so what were the steps? So you had the idea, and then what?
And wait, let's set the field too. She also has a husband and children.
You had children at the time?
Well, at that time, I didn't. It's kind of okay. So here, I'll tell you about the steps. So for me, I actually just started doing all the research that we kind of mentioned. I found out more about what it was like to have a nail salon, what it was like to do, and did all of that stuff the first few years. What I really did during that time is I bugged all my friends and said, if I have a nail salon, will you come? And that was really, and my friends were at this point tired of hearing me talk about this nail salon they had never seen. So then 10 years later, I'd had my oldest son, and I just had my youngest son. And while I was out on maternity leave, I really just felt God knocking on my heart, saying, I need you to go ahead, start your business plan. But I had all those things in my head. I'd already, in mentally digested all that information, but I hadn't put pen to paper. And that was when I started putting pen to paper. I put financial plan, marketing plan, did all those things. Well, in doing those things, I actually had to go out and look for a space. I actually had to find out how much equipment really cost, not just online, but what it looked like and felt like in real life, just to put it on paper. Well, in doing that, I ended up finding the ideal space, found all the equipment, and before I knew it, we had a nail salon. So in my mind, I still thought we were going to be a year or two out before this was something that was actually, that happened in real life. I thought it was just going to be on paper, and then we're going to still keep walking.
So let me ask you a real quick question, because you went from paper, so then you did the research, and then you started actualizing. Can you, at whatever level of transparency you feel comfortable, tell us financially, how were you able to prepare for this? Was it something that you had set aside, or how did you pull together the resources?
No, I'll be really transparent about that. I'll also say a few years before, your dear friends you mentioned, see, they're our very best friends. They're the folks we hang out with, we vacation with, and all this fun stuff. Well, my best friend there, she was just very much an advocate for being financially free and debt free and just living a life with no bounds. So when they started going on this journey of becoming debt free, well, these are the people we vacation with. So how are we going to go on vacation? They can stay at the Ritz, and we're still over here at Super 8, So we had to kind of make a decision. Either we're going to follow this journey with them, or we're going to get left behind. So that's exactly what we did. I'll be very honest. That was a bit humbling for both of us, because what we called pet debt. It was like you had this debt, you pet it month to month, pay this on it, and you keep going. We were still going on vacation. We were still eating out. We were still doing all these other things. And we had to make a decision. Are we going to continue with this? Or are we going to really attack this, eat beans and rice and beans, and become debt-free? So honestly, that's what we did. We took a couple of years, and we said, okay, we're going to be completely debt-free. Other than our mortgage, we were completely debt-free walking into this.
I know.
Girl, I celebrate you. I love that. Note to great girlfriends, debt freedom is possible.
It is possible, and it's freeing.
It really is freedom.
It takes off. One of the things we did Dave Ramsey's financial piece, and one of the things he mentioned is that you can, when something happens, like you have a car that breaks down, not only do you have like this dilemma with the car, you have a financial dilemma. Mm-hmm. And he was right. I mean, when something happens, you're trying to figure out how to work it and figure it out, but it's also a financial issue.
Right.
Well, what I really say to folks, if you're going into an entrepreneurial, role, if you have stuff that's going on in your own personal finances and there's stuff that's in your business finances, you can't have both of those at the same time. Otherwise, it's going to drive you crazy. It's going to drive your life crazy, your marriage crazy if you're married, and you don't need all of that at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's like mm-hmm. that's too much stress for one person, So for us, we were debt free. And then I honestly hadn't put as much aside as I should have. Looking back, I put some aside, but honestly, I used my income because I was still working. Up until this time last year, I was still working my corporate job. So in the time where we lean as a business, when a startup, I think the statistic is it takes about 5 to 6 years to break even, and then about 8 or 9 years before you're able to pay yourself. And that was, I didn't know those statistics until I got in it. I wish I'm glad I didn't.
Be a corp right now.
Yeah, I would still be a corporate girl.
How long were you working your job and having your business?
I was doing it for a little over 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she was maintaining by day and building by night.
It was crazy. Oh gosh, I hope they're not watching, because I would have my laptop and I'm rolling around town and trying to do marketing, and I have my laptop to my side. I have my hotspot on my phone. I'm taking calls it was ridiculous. By the end of it, I was like sitting in the corner rocking back and forth kind of crazy.
Wait a minute, because you had kids at this time too.
Oh gosh, I have 2 kids, and remember, I was out on maternity leave when we started the business. So I have a brand new baby. I'm doing all the things you do for brand new babies, and corporate job, husband. Yeah, right. It was like sweet love muffin. It's like I'm telling you. And
Lord,
you have the mommy guilt that's associated with it too. Come on, mommy guilt is no joke.
It's so real.
It is so real. It is so real. Mommy guilt and mommy paranoia, but that's a whole nother story.
You'll be back.
What'd you say?
I said you'll be back for that one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't know about mommy guilt yet. That comes later.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that.
Right now you don't have any guilt because you're with her all day.
Yeah. They're just adorable.
Wait till you go to the bathroom. You'll start feeling guilty.
Gossiping away
sit outside the door knocking like, mommy, like, can I go to the bathroom?
They'll be putting their little fingers under the door and like, are you in there? Yes, I want to get away.
And I'm not coming out because I know I'm watching TV.
Her closet. Yeah. Yeah. But,
so anyway, sorry.
So did that all that was happening at one time, and also we have very much a heart for the local church. So we serve in leadership in our church and all the things there. So we were definitely it was definitely a balancing act. I feel like that it was a time that I was really kind of graced for, but definitely for the corporate job, I recognized when my time of grace was up too, and it was time to say, okay, we need to figure out either you're gonna do this well or do this well. I wasn't. Right. I felt at the end there I wasn't doing both well, and it was. Yeah.
Wow.
So the day happens when you go in and you're saying, "This is it."
Well, okay. So do y'all want to hear the real deal story?
Yes.
Okay. So a few months before, my hubby comes to me and says, "I just want to let you know I've been praying for you to get laid off." I was like, "What?" I was livid. I was like, "How dare you go to the Lord and ask him?" It was like ridiculous. I was like, "I can't." I did not want that to be my story, But what he reminded me was, you have been with this company for how long? We want to make sure that it's not all for naught, Yeah. So anyway, once I got to a place where I recognized as well that I really shouldn't have been doing both at the same time, I started to pray for the same thing. About a couple of months later, the prayers came to pass. So it was
wow.
much. Yeah. I actually see it as a blessing. I still remember having good friends that I worked with for a number of years who were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry," and I was like, they didn't know, even as they were offering, like sitting down having that last convo with me, was that this was an answered prayer.
Right.
This was really an answered prayer. So I was very, very thankful. I walked around in a little bit of a daze for a couple of days after, just because I'm like, I don't have to kind of balance everything. I didn't know what that felt like yet. But right after then, we had our best quarter ever as a business. And yeah.
Hey.
I was able to spend more time. I was able to dedicate more time. The business looked and felt different when I was able to. I was still there before, but I wasn't. You can't be 100% there, and so on and so on. So that was how it happened.
Wow. Sybil kind of touched on this before we started the podcast, but what were some of the emotional wars you had to deal with as you were building this business? Like the times where I'm sure there were times you probably wanted to quit, like kind of.
And people's perception. How you gonna go into nails, Jennifer? Really? Like that's not what you do. Like,
right.
What are you doing? Is Jennifer crazy? What's going on in their family?
Yeah.
She talking about she hearing from God.
The Lord told her to open the nail salon, right? Yeah, it's like who'd have thunk it? It's kind of funny even when I think about it. I mean, it sounds kind of peculiar. Me, a nail salon. I'm not a real girly girl. I'm honestly not. And the idea of it, but I think that kind of helps with it because about 15% of our clients are guys. So it was really trying to create an atmosphere that everyone kind of felt welcome. Anyway, all that said, the perception was actually when people hear nail salon, they go to what they typically know of in a nail, a place you get your mani-pedi done. And so that's actually been the biggest thing. Again, educating people and helping to change that perspective in just the way we present ourselves, the way we market ourselves, and just the idea of doing something different and doing it in a different way. And that was how we kind of started. Our slogan was a new kind of salon, just so people would they would ask the question, so it makes it new, So did I answer that question? I feel like Brandis asked a question I didn't answer.
So I just wanted to know, like, what was kind of your lowest low in this process?
Oh.
Like, what was a time?
I was waiting that.
Yeah,
and anybody with a business will tell you, it's always the stuff that and when you're talking about personnel and people. It's without a shadow of a doubt, especially if you have a storefront, if you have people working for you, that's really going to be the most challenging part. We don't say employees or staff. We actually say team members. So if you hear me say team members, I think that was the most difficult part when you bring people on the team and either they didn't completely buy in or you hired out of a need rather than really making sure that it was a quality person. And the fact, Sybil, you mentioned like our team was so welcoming and things like that. That was a conscious decision that we had to make, that I will go lean. We will not service everyone that walks through our doors, unfortunately, in some cases, because I'd much rather have a team that's strong, that cares about people and has a heart for people, and who are willing to serve people, rather than just say, let's have somebody back there and let's knock out some mani-pedis.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So for me, that's been the lowest point, is really when people leave, honestly, because you care about people, you care about people's heart. So I know that's probably not exactly what you expected. Sometimes people think, as you're trying to meet goals and things like that and trying to make money, that can be difficult too. That's really difficult, but it's the lowest part is usually when we're talking about people and relational stuff.
Okay. Was there a time during this process that you wanted to quit?
Oh, absolutely.
Can you tell us about that? Can you paint the picture for us, like as many details as possible?
Is telling the truth. I mean, those of all the emojis you see, like when you get to select emojis and you see the palette of them. That's what a day in the life of an entrepreneur looks like. You go from like, you go from all of those things in one day to the end of the day. So, right. I mean, I may feel like quitting 3 times a week. That's not right. but you're not going to do it. It's like, you're like, why am I doing this? And then you have this wonderful high where somebody says, I just had this amazing experience at September nail salon. You go on from there and you're like, that's why I do it. And then you go to something else. I mean, it happens so often.
That's so true.
I give you one story. This is me being honest. I thought we were girlfriends. Can we talk?
Yes. Give us one good story.
That's the one good story. Oh gosh. Well, I'll go back to it's the people relational thing. Like when you have people who leave, or people who are no longer. It just makes you think if you're doing this for people. Or business, maybe it's just our business is seasonal. So if it's a quiet season and I'm thinking, why am I even doing this? I mean, I hate to say, I know what you're saying about a story, but I mean, it's a thought that reoccurs so often. And it's like, you're always like, why am I doing this anyway? What's the point of me doing this if either people aren't picking up onto the idea, or if other people you want to bring on the team don't buy in? Should I be doing this anyway? It's kind of like, and we're talking about the mommy guilt, that comes and goes and comes and goes. It's almost like that. For me, I've never been to the place where I'm about to sign, like I'm not renewing my lease,
right.
But I thought about it,
Right.
I thought about it.
Right.
But same time, it always comes back to, okay, am I doing this for a bigger purpose? And I think for me, that's the biggest thing, because I know this was a God-given kind of thing. So I figure even when I get to those low points, that as long as he was the one who has ordained this from the very beginning, if he's on my side, I'm going to keep pressing on. And there are times where I have turned to God and said, all right, I've done everything I can. You wanted me to do this, so here you go.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's usually how the convo goes. And then he does what he does, and then you're like, oh, okay.
I know. He's like, what's wrong with you, child?
Yes.
I had this from the beginning, and you had the nerve to question me.
Yes.
And you know what's funny? It's like, people think that you become an entrepreneur and you just turn off everything else. But every entrepreneur I know that's honest have thought about just going back to get a freaking 9 to 5.
Oh gosh, yes.
It's like,
there's nothing like a consistent check.
Nothing.
Nothing like a steady and a hot check, like a real good one that'll get you on those vacations and do all the extra.
Yes.
And that consistency doesn't always take place with entrepreneurship in the way that you used to.
Absolutely.
You have to adjust mentally. Tell me about some sacrifices you've had to make while you were adjusting from that consistent check to the get to know me check.
Oh, well, Chuck, did I tell you how many years in I am? Or what are we talking about? We're still very much, I mean, we're tracking with where I think we should be at this point. But in terms of sacrifice, it's in so many areas. Right now, I even feel like we're going back to that place where, I mentioned that when we were working to become debt free, and now we're like, okay, now we need to get a little more structured. We're about a year out from not having 2 incomes. And saying, all right, we need to be a lot more structured about how we're doing things. How much are we eating out? Do we need to go back to this system? Vacation travel is a lot different now than it was before. The amount that we eat out is a lot different. We made this change even before then. My son was in a private school. We got him into a great public school. But, even in thinking about, okay, let's the private school again, we're like, you know what? Do we need to do that, or do we need to work on, our younger son? Do we need to see if we can get him into the school, with his brother? Mm-hmm. It's every day is a sacrifice. It really is. It's not easy. As far as I'm concerned, I'm still at the beginning point of this journey, and it's work. It's work every step of the way. You're talking about, like that freedom. I don't know anyone who has a business who feels free. I mean, honestly, you now you have so many more bosses. I mean, every client who walks through my door is one of my bosses. It's like, unless they have an amazing experience and decide to come back and decide to tell more people. I mean, there's nothing that happens for us business wise. So we have to make a decision every day that we're going to please all of these bosses. When I think it was easier. It was easy.
Oh, it's so much easier. It's so much easier. It's so much easier to go into that 9 to 5 and do your job and do it well and exceed. Yeah, it's a total different ball game when you're talking about entrepreneurship. Tell us about your highest high. Like, what's been like one of your most rewarding experiences thus far?
I think the quarter I mentioned directly after I was no longer working, doing both. I think that was my high. The fact that we came out of the quarter, met some goals. For us, it was like break even goals, and we did a bit over break even. And I was like, okay, this can work. Before you're still trying to figure out, how crazy am I? And now I was like, okay, this can work. This can work. This is something that we can do. And we celebrated as a team. I come from the corporate arena, so when I'm sitting down with our team and I have pie charts and telling them how we're doing, and this is graphing this out, because I see it as it's the same thing as in corporate. You have certain sales goals that you have to meet, and unless you know what the goal is, how do you help become a part of meeting that? So,
girl, it's so true.
Because I'm like, how many nail salons owners are actually having these kind of meetings with their team members?
Well, I tell you what, in the past that was the thing. I had people looking at me like, what is she doing? She's breaking out the pie chart. She's and we have a board downstairs that has our goals and what percentage we are doing each week. We have competitions in terms of like sales and things like that, because I want them to be a part of it. They are a part of it.
I love that.
If you don't succeed, they don't succeed.
I love that.
It's all a part of it.
But
yeah.
That's also valuable training for them as they go out into their lives and do whatever their career choices are, to be very conscious of the idea that everyone, we're all salespeople. Yeah, I'm selling myself. Yeah. You're selling yourself. Brandon's selling herself, and all of our great girlfriends. We tend to think that there are salespeople. No, we are all salespeople, and we all have goals that we have to keep consciousness around, and we have to have our pie charts. We have to have our vision check-ins. It doesn't have to be just an entrepreneurship. It can even be on a career path. But I love how you make everyone a part of that, so that everyone can take a piece of it and own it. And say, like, I'm going to be accountable to this. That's amazing.
Jennifer, I want you to leave our great girlfriends with some advice you wish someone had given you. So if you could think about maybe 3 pieces of advice that you would give our girlfriends who are thinking about starting a new job, or who are thinking about quitting their job, thinking about starting a new business, or who are thinking about quitting their job to start an entrepreneur venture, what would that be?
That first one, if I were to give advice to someone who is thinking about quitting their job, I would ask the question, are you really ready? I think sometimes I talk to folks and they just started in a role, or just started in a position, or just started in that field, and they think, oh, okay, let me go start my own. And I kind of ask the question, well, why do you want to start your own right now? Should you stay with this company for 5-6 years, learn more about it? Now, don't go tell your boss you're going. That's the other thing. Like, don't go tell them when you walk through the door, I'm here training so I can learn how to go do this myself.
Right.
But go learn, find out more. Maybe there's an opportunity to grow within that field, and you could progress there so much so that it just opens a door for you to go do your own. but then also really know what it means to have your own. We kind of already said it today, is like having your own doesn't mean freedom. It doesn't mean this automatic financial success. It means honestly hardship and trials and growth as you get there. So really take an account and of what you're doing before you step into it. Don't automatically assume it's going to be success within a month, within a year, within 3 years even. Mm-hmm. This is a journey. This is a path unlike any other. Mm-hmm. The second I would say is really take an account of your own finances. I don't say everything has to be perfect in your own finances, but I'm very much an advocate about being debt free before you really step out as an entrepreneur, because you will have difficult times in your own business. It could probably happen, and you don't want at the same time to try to figure out how to pay your rent over here and how to pay your rent over here. Yeah. The third one I would probably say is really make sure that this is something that you're called to do, and then if so, prepare for it. Write a business plan, do a marketing strategy, put all of those things on paper. And then if you find that there are areas that you're not as strong in, couple with someone else, hire someone else to do well what you don't do well. I'll tell the example. We brought a contractor in to kind of assist with something, and it was a lot less expensive to bring a friend in to do it. And we ended up having to pay double, because after that didn't go well, then we had to bring someone else in to do it well for us. So as a result, we ended up spending more money. So, sometimes you're like, oh, well, cousin so-and-so can make websites. Don't, really
pay the extra.
Pay the extra. Do what you got to do. Yes. Because at the end of the day, if that thing doesn't go well, you're going to spend a lot more money in the long run, or wish you had. So it's just about hiring people who do what they do.
And Jennifer, let me help you on that part too, because sometimes girlfriends, just to, if you don't have the funds to hire, consider what you're able to barter. A lot of times we get caught in the fact that, like, I need to have this amount of money to hire X, Y, and Z. I've had people literally barter for me and say, if I watch your daughter, and I'm like, bingo, you got my attention. You say babysit? Yes. If you watch my daughter, what do you want? Yes, I'll help you with your brand plan. Yes, you'll give me date nights? What? Find out what matters to the person with whom you'd like to barter and offer to add value in their life until you can add money. Yeah. And then if maybe you don't have the time to offer, maybe you have a big mouth. Maybe you can be like, I can put September Nail Salon on the map if you, Jennifer, can help me with the marketing plan, or you can help me do something, or let me have an event there, or whatever it is. Know what your assets are and know how to leverage them, because a lot of people will get stomped right there and say, but I don't have the money. Money is just a tool, right?
It's just a tool,
but so is your mouth.
It's just a tool.
So are your hands. So is your mind. So basically, use your tools to get the right team to support you. I had to just jump with you on that.
And I think what she said before, Jennifer, what you said in terms of having purpose. People can feel when you have purpose. And when I started my business, I didn't have any money. All I had was purpose. Mm-hmm. I had a purpose and I had passion, and I don't know how to keep my mouth shut about either one of them. And so, I love to share my vision with people, and I get excited, and other people got excited with me and wanted to sow into that. So, I think when you start a business and you're missing that purpose behind it, people aren't as willing to get behind something that they don't see as being something bigger than you. Yep. I always knew my business was bigger than me, and it still is. And I think that that in itself brings people along to just basically pour into you.
They will. The ride.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that.
And sometimes you're just sitting around and you're thinking, how can I? Oh, here, let me go back actually to what you said, Sybil. One of the things you said, it was about people and bartering and stuff. It's like finding an area to compromise too. It's like there was some one of the things when we were looking to open the storefront is I was looking for cabinets. I went on Craigslist. And I found cabinets 2 hours away that were like dirt cheap. And I made the drive to go get them, you know? And it's like, you know, there's bartering, there's being creative with your talent. You know, it's
being resourceful.
Do the best with what you have. Do the best you can with what you have.
Yes.
I feel like you have to spend a lot of money, but in the areas where it will be vital, you know, make a decision. And then the other thing I'll say is, don't do a storefront until you have to do a storefront.
Oh, yes.
As long as you can legally, for whatever you do it from home, do it online.
Yeah.
Because a storefront adds other layers of cost, honestly, expense, employees and other things like that. So I say go as long as you can without a storefront, and then when you have to do it, do it.
Yeah, that's the same thing I tell people about an office. I'm like, do you really need an office?
You can do it at home. If you can do it at home.
I 5 times over, I would say no.
They're like, but I need somewhere to meet people. Can you go to a restaurant?
Starbucks.
The money you spend on rent, you can take someone to a fabulous dinner.
Hello?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So what, Jennifer, 5 years from now, where is Jennifer Nail Salon? September Nail Salon. Where do you see what's next for the business as you grow?
Well, I can even tell you in this next little bit, we've started our own product line. It really kind of happened out of a need. Our own scrubs, body butters, body butter oils, soaps, and so on. And we just started because we were using those in our actual services. And folks asked the question. They were like, well, can I take some home? And we thought, well, yeah. So we ran to the nearest craft store, threw them in a jar, and started letting folks take them home. We've seen a good amount of success from the.
Wow, that's so exciting!
Really exciting, because then it opens up the opportunity for folks who are in New York or across the country. So we're to get the products in their hands as well, if it's something, you know, like
Jennifer, I need something for my feet right now.
Yes, she
what
does,
you what?
Can you handle that
exfoliation treatment, body butter?
I need some exfoliation. I really do. I've been very neglectful. You hush it up.
You have a new baby.
Yes. You hush it, Sybil. Yes.
No.
Yes, Jennifer.
No.
You hush it, Sybil. You hush it.
She's been asking me. I'm telling you, she's saying somebody's talking. Jennifer, she's
I got you. Brandis, I got you.
Hook me up, Jennifer. I'll shout you out, I promise.
Let us know when those products are going to be available on the website so we can make sure we get it into our Facebook community and let everybody know about it. That is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I certainly will.
So, Jennifer, in terms of where our great girlfriends, because listen, ladies, the plan is you all have learned about Jennifer, you've learned about September Nail Salon, and you want to support our great girlfriend Jennifer in Memphis. You don't have to be in Memphis. You can know somebody in Memphis to support Jennifer, but how can they connect with you on social and on your website and so forth?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. On Twitter and Instagram, I am Jen Purnell. And then on Instagram, you can find the business directly at September Nail Salon. And then, of course, SeptemberNailSalon.com is a great way to connect with us as well.
Nice. So I need every single Memphis great girlfriend to run and get your hands and your feet done.
Come on. You can even book online.
Yes. Or send someone. Get a gift card and send someone over there. It's such a beautiful place. You're going to have the best experience. And I know personally that Jennifer puts 1,000% care into what she does. So hopefully you guys will get over there. Jennifer, thank you.
Thank you
so much. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your excellence. Thank you for your spirit. Thank you for all of that. I am so excited for you.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, we're going to close out now. We want to thank our husbands. So, FYI, girlfriends, Sky just threw a fit. And Brandis had to run and handle Sky, baby. But I'm going to say thank you to Rich for holding it down for Brandis. And thank you, Kwaku, for being an awesome boo. I love you so much. Jennifer, do you want to thank anyone?
I was like, well, while you're giving shout out to to the man of my house.
That's
so.
right. Shout them out, girl.
And my little guys, they're such sweethearts. Oh, Aiden and Micah, my loves too.
They're so cute too. Yes, and Sam and Dylan and Sky Baby. And thank you to all of our great girlfriends around the world, now in 60 plus countries, for trusting us as your go-to source. That's right, for life, love, laughter, and everything in between. Make sure you check us out on our website, www.thegreatgirlfriends.com. Check us out on Twitter. We are at _greatgfs. Instagram, The Great Girlfriends. Facebook page, The Great Girlfriends. Facebook group, The Great Girlfriends. You can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Blueberry, Podbean, Stitcher.
Yes.
I think I named them all. All of them. And directly on the website. So continue to post your questions, listen with friends, keep listening, and keep being a great girlfriend. I'm Sybil, Brandis is upstairs, and
I'm Jennifer.
And we're signing off. Peace. Bye.
Bye-bye.